Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Access City Council. I'm your host, David Riggleman, Communications Director for the City of Las Vegas. We have a great show ahead for you today. Delegates from Korea visited City Hall recently, and we show you where some beautiful walking trails are located around the city. I'm joined with the councilman who represents Ward 2, Councilman Steve Seroka. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, David. It's always great to be here. I'm getting to be a bit of an old hat, so that makes me a little uncomfortable.
No, you're doing well. You used to be a newbie, but not so much anymore. This is kind of getting to be familiar for you.
Well, you make it very great to be here.
Well, thank you so much. Great to have you on the show. A lot of good stuff to talk about in Ward 2.
Yes.
We'll show everybody where it's located. You know it very well.
I know where it is.
You do. Yes, you do, and then some. But for those of you who may not know exactly where it's located, it's basically west of the Rainbow Curve. That area that you see on the map there, it's actually in the city limits of the city of Las Vegas. If you live in that area, work in that area, then you are, of course, in the city, and you are represented by Councilman Steve Seroka. Been in office now for a little over 6 months, right?
Yeah, just over 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's still a great honor to have this opportunity to represent Ward 2.
Well, it's a great honor to have you on the council. You are a retired Air Force colonel from Nellis Air Force Base, an F-15 pilot. So you come here with a lot of experience and quite a resume, so congratulations.
Well, thank you, and I find both those things help me in City Council.
Yes, they do. They tend to, exactly. Well, speaking of City Council, recently we had our State of the City address. This got a lot of attention on social media, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tweets and posts of all different kinds. But Sue Levitt, our own producer of this show, even tweeted, she said, State of the City is underway. That took place back on January 11th, and this is a big deal. This is where the council, the mayor, kind of lay out their vision for the year to come and talk about some things that have happened in the past, but also talk about where we're going to go as a city in the next 12 months.
And this is my first one, David. I was very excited to be there. As you can see, it was a great opportunity to be part of this great city that we have. And of course, the mayor is greatly appreciated, and she has a great time up there. Her quips are legendary. And her legacy as a Goodman's carries on, so it was a lot of fun to be there. And as you know, we have a lot going on in our city.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she talked about that. New medical school coming, that's it right there.
Right. And in the heart of downtown, we have a lot of development, and I call that the golden goose of our community, including the medical district in our downtown area. That's the heartbeat of our community, and we want to make sure that area is developed properly as we look forward to the future.
Yeah. What about future Ward 2? I know the mayor talked about the future of the city as a whole, but your area of interest mostly is in Ward 2. What are your thoughts on that in the year to come?
We have a beautiful part of our city, and there is a lot of growth going on out there. We do have development.
West of the 215 especially, yeah.
And we have a lot coming on. Howard Hughes is going to be developing a lot in the near future west of the 250. I think the number is approximately 20,000 units going in out that way in the future. And already in the middle of Ward 2, we have about 1,200 units approved already that will be being developed. So that helps revitalize things. But of course, we'll talk about Badlands a little bit later. That's part of the development considerations in the future as well.
Yeah, no, that's been a big issue in Ward 2, and especially for you and the residents out at Queensridge. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Councilman, you recently tweeted this. I thought this was great. You've got a soft spot for veterans, having been one yourself, but you had an event that took place where the city tweeted this out. We said, Councilman Steve Seroka recognizes the efforts of two teenagers, Chris Werner and Jacob Clemens, who volunteered to help a veteran in need in the community. And then you honored them at a city council meeting. That took place back in January.
Yes, we hear often about the crisis of our youth. And I am always impressed by our youth. And these two gentlemen are great examples of who we have to be proud of in our community. The shout out went out to help some veterans, and they dropped everything they were doing and they showed up within 30 minutes. They didn't even realize what they were volunteering for.
Really?
It was even more wonderful. They gave their time, their resources, and they actually helped move some important furniture and needed supplies down to Henderson for some veterans down that way that were in need. And they did so without any concern for themselves. But even better, David, is both these teens continue to serve. Right there, Chris Werner, He is in the UNLV ROTC program, and he's actually studying right now to be a paramedic. So he'll have many career options going forward.
Sure.
And his friend that showed up as well, Jacob Clemens, actually couldn't attend this ceremony. He was swearing into the Marines a few days later, and he had some things to take care of and couldn't be there that morning. So we have some great youth in our community, and it's great to celebrate them.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, and it's great that you recognize their efforts. Sometimes those kinds of things go without anything being said. We hear when things get messed up, but we very seldom hear when things go well. So good for you to recognize those young men. And boy, it sounds like they've got a career ahead where they're going to serve their country.
Right. And it says a lot about their families, too. So their parents were there, and actually Jacob's dad took the honors for him, and Chris's mom was there. His dad serves the community as well, and he couldn't be there, but the parents were there. And it says a lot about who we have. Yeah. We have a great community. I'm really proud of our community.
Sure do, Councilman, sure do. Big deal here took place back January 8th. We had a delegation from South Korea here. A city, I think, somewhere in the Seoul area, Councilman?
Yeah, they were essentially city council member equivalents for a city just outside of Seoul. And they came here as part of CES, but they wanted to come talk to us in Las Vegas. And we talked about some potential business deals we could do as well. I pointed outside at Symphony Park and said, hey, right there is a great opportunity for you to invest in our community. We would really value it. We also talked about technology in our community, things we would be interested, our autonomous and our intelligence services that we're putting together, and they thought they're taking that home to think about how they can help Las Vegas.
Driverless shuttles that's been shuttling around town, moving all around. Yeah, I know they were really interested in that, for sure. So, well, it's great we have those partnerships. Get that business connection going across the Pacific's a good thing always. So.
It is. And you know, I failed to mention that we have a Korean community here, and the liaisons between city council people were members of that Korean community. So they served as translators and hosts and made the visit very, very comfortable and very productive.
City council business very similar over there, I would think, as it would be here too, right?
They understood our line of work, and we understood their line of work. It was a very fun meeting. Yeah.
I bet so. I bet so. Councilman, on that very same day, you were busy. You attended the groundbreaking of the expansion of the convention center. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority put this on. It was funny. We hadn't had rain in 116 days, but the day of the groundbreaking, it poured.
Of course. You always have to plan for that, right? And they did a great job. The LVCVA, they did a great job. It was under a tent there, well protected, and it was a comfortable environment. And all the VIPs from the community there, I had a chance to say hello to Rossi Rollencotter and to tell him how happy we are of him and the success we're having in keeping our community vital and ahead and the leader in the nation on convention opportunities. And because of this good work, we've maintained some of the big conventions that were on the ropes there for a while because some other cities were becoming more competitive. We don't want that. We want to have an outright victory.
That's right, exactly. We want to be the top dog when it comes to the convention destination for people, for no matter what the organization. So that project is going to put us right up there. Then no one's going to be able to really compete with the space that we'll have. So.
Right, and then all the investment in downtown gets to pay off too, because as we build more hotel rooms and spaces for our visitors, there's a great place for them to enjoy when they're not at the convention. So working together with the LVCVA, what a great partnership we have.
You know, it's interesting. The expansion of the convention center has a direct correlation to the large conventions that we have. The larger it got, the more conventions we attracted, and the bigger the conventions. So that's an important component.
Right, we've changed the nature of the business, right? The convention business by being who we are in Las Vegas. So this just helps us keep being the
next phase.
Top of the list.
Right. Councilman, you mentioned Badlands. Let's talk a little bit about Badlands. I know it's been a tough subject, back and forth. For those that don't know, the people who live in the Queens Ridge community around the Badlands golf course, the golf course is closed up shop. It's kind of shuttered itself. It's not operating anymore. So a developer came in to buy the land, and he wanted to convert the golf course to property, to turn it into a development. And it's been a battle back and forth between the developer and the residents there for some time. So give us an update. Where are we now, Councilman? I know you've kind of been at the eye of the storm on all of this. Where are we with this whole thing? It's moved back and forth and all around. Been some litigations moved through court. What's the story now?
Yeah, David, you captured it very well. It is arguably the biggest issue the city of Las Vegas has had to deal with in a very long time. And this is an issue that's been on the council's radar for about 3 years now. So where is it now? Well, right now, there are 3 more applications coming in from the developer that are coming forward to the city council for roughly 250 dwelling units within the Badlands, former Badlands golf course area. At the same time, I have asked the staff to put together a policy to help make this process more transparent, both to any future applicant, developers, and residents in the city.
And specifically, Councilman, that ordinance that you've been working on talks about when golf courses or open space convert from golf course or open space to a development and how that's going to impact the people who live around it.
That's more accurate. Thank you for clarifying that. It is really dealing with any residential development that could go adjacent to existing residential development. And really what the studies across the nation and reading thesis papers that have been written on the topic explain is they basically codify what we've been saying here all along is when a developer would like to do that, please talk to the residents that'll be impacted and come back to us with what you've heard and how you're going to accommodate that. It's actually a relatively simple initial step in the process that we're bringing forward, but we found it important to codify it in an ordinance going forward so everybody would know what the expectations were, so no side felt like they were being dealt with unfairly. So that's the first step that's coming forward to the City Council soon. And in the meantime, there has been a lawsuit. You brought that up. There are several lawsuits. This is unfortunately a very litigious issue. But there has been a ruling on a lawsuit just last week, and I got to review the transcripts over the weekend. And it is the transcripts from the court are very direct. They're saying, hey, we think the city may have overstepped its policy and exceeded its authority by approving what at the current time were 435 units on the east end of the golf course. There was a multifamily unit approved last January before I came on the council, and the court was saying, hey, we think you overstepped your authority by doing so in the way that you did it. So this may change the landscape as we go forward in making all the processes that we follow to become scrutinized a little bit more, which was exactly the policy I was asking. I've asked the staff to put together and we'll be voting on soon to do. Because if the developer understands what's expected of them, and if the residents understand what's expected of them, and the city understands what's expected of us, it just makes the process go more smoothly and quickly. And why would we want to continue another 3 years doing this when we can have an open policy that we can balance the equities of residents along with the developers, along with the city's responsibilities in redevelopment. So we look forward to ironing some of this out. We call it the B word in our office. It's such a contentious issue and it's always tough to deal with, but we do know that we have people and developers in the city that we want to take care of in the end. So it is a balance. It's actually a balancing act between those 3 equities. I'll say it one more time. I believe it's a balancing act between the equities that the developer has, that the current residents have, and the city has to make this work in a positive way for our community.
And that's the ordinance you're proposing basically addresses all those areas for sure.
That's the goal. Because believe it or not, the city has a lot of equity into it. The infrastructure, the schools, the police, the fire, the roads, the drainage, the electrical are all on the city to support. And we need to be prepared for that kind of an investment. And if not us, who? We need to make sure developers and residents understand who we may be asking to support this.
Well, best of luck, Councilman.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for that.
You're working very hard on this.
So. We're real excited about moving forward, and we have great people we're working with. So
that's for sure.
Thank you for the opportunity to share that. We hope the word gets out a little bit more into the community.
Right. Let's shift gears a little bit, something a little lighter here. Going to harken back to December in 2017 real quickly. You had the Festival of Lights out at the lakes. This is a great tradition out there. It's kind of a outdoor gathering. People get together. There's entertainment. There's food. Then it culminates with a parade of the boats around the lake out there. And this is your first one, I take it.
This is my first one, and it was actually on hiatus for a little while.
Well, that's right. It's right. That's right. It came back. It was reborn here, so to speak.
We reborned it. Yes, we did, and it was a lot of fun. Santa was there, and he's the real deal. We had rock and roll legend John Payne there, and we had up and coming legend Michelle Roll there performing as well. And there's Michelle Roll right now. She performed at the Smith Center shortly after this. So she's quite a talent. And then we had a parade of boats, and all the boats are electrically operated, so they had plenty of power to power lights. And it was a lot of fun. We got to judge all the people that attended got to help judge the best performance and the best float, best literally float.
Get it?
And everybody was engaged, and it was really a lot of fun. We had hot chocolate, drinks, food, snacks, and the city staff did a great job setting it up. And we're going to do it again. And we're sure that the more and more people are going to participate in next year. So we're looking forward to that as well.
They did a beautiful job, despite being on hiatus from this event for a few years. Boy, they came out, didn't miss a beat.
Didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
And we're already planning next year. We already are speaking to the Homeowners Association there to make it even better next year.
We should mention, too, that's open to the public. Anyone can come out. It's not just for residents out at the lake. So
yeah, please come out. And we ran out of hot chocolate. Let's do it again next year.
That sounds a good problem to have. And then, Councilman, I thought this was great. You had this, you tweeted this out. You said, join me for my first Coffee with the Councilman on January 26th from 8 to 10 at Avery's Coffee on West Sahara. I look forward to seeing you there. So I know some of you will see this maybe after the fact, but many of you will see it beforehand since the show airs over the course of a week. But again, Friday, January 26th, Councilman's doing his first Coffee with the Councilman, 8 to 10.
And Avery's been very supportive. Come on out and support Avery's. But don't forget, I have already done Coffee with the Mayor, Coffee with a Cop, but this time it's all me.
Exactly,
so come out
only you. So very casual. You can come out, meet the councilman, chat over whatever you'd like to. Cup of coffee. It's laid back and not like sometimes people, I think, feel a little intimidated coming down to City Hall.
Right. We just make it casual and have my staff there as well to take your questions. And if we don't know the answer, we'll get back to you. So
flying solo on this, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're really going for it here. But we have a great community, and they do share all the time anyway. So I think we're ready for it.
All right. So Avery's Coffee on the 26th. From 8 to 10, come out, meet the councilman, and say hello to him. So, Councilman, I'm excited because I want to tell everybody we need to take a short break, but when we come back, looking for a reason to get outdoors, we tell you where there's some beautiful walking trails here in our city. That's next, so please stay with us.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it here. So what are you waiting for? Just go to the site.
Welcome back. You know, we're fortunate here in Southern Nevada because we get to enjoy some great weather pretty much year-round, which makes it nice to just get outside and explore, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about in our next part of the show. We have Mauricia Baca here from outside Las Vegas. You've been a great partner with the city, you and your organization. We're glad to have you here, and I know, Councilman, you're thrilled because outside Las Vegas and Ward 2 have such a nice commonality, right?
Right, David. Ward 2 abuts against some of the most wonderful outdoor spaces we have in the valley, and it's great to have a relationship with outside Las Vegas. And as I mentioned before the show, as on some of the committees I get to be a part of, as my role of city councilman, Mauricia was the shining light and the enthusiasm in some of those events, and I thought it would be great for Mauricia to have an opportunity to share her skills and talents with everybody on Access City Council.
Mauricia, great to have you on the show. We know you well. We've worked with you for a number of years, but for those that don't know about Outside Las Vegas, what is the organization all about? What's the purpose?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And Outside Las Vegas is really about connecting people to the incredible outdoors that we have here in Southern Nevada and Nevada in general. I think a lot of people aren't aware of it, although more and more people are becoming aware because it's one of our greatest assets here in Southern Nevada. We have over 1,000 miles of trails in Southern Nevada.
1,000 miles of trails?
Over 1,000 miles of trails. And when I go around to other communities and they talk about their trail systems, ours actually puts them to shame. But we have even more work to do because there's some areas where we're still looking for connections. But it really is one of, I think, the best, least told stories of what we have here. It's one of the things that is an incredible asset for our community.
Mauricia, we're looking at some of these trails now. What I love about the trail system we have in the city is that you can be right in the heart of the city, as you see here. This is near Rampart in Vegas. This is just off of Wallapai, but look what you have. You feel like you're, one with nature, and yet you're still within the city limits.
Well, that's exactly it. It's one of the incredible things because we have such a wonderful network, and our jurisdictions have worked so well to do this. Councilman Seroka mentioned the Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition, and the planners from all the different cities including the city of Las Vegas, have collaborated to make sure that we do have these trails and these incredible places nearby, so that there's no reason not to just get outside and get healthy. That's really it. It's fun. It's a way to be outside, to connect with your community, to connect with your neighbors. And it's a beautiful place that we live in. You mentioned the weather that we have year-round. It's incredible. Even in the heat of summer, though, you can get out in the early morning and the late evening.
Exactly.
And it's a chance to just breathe and just enjoy being here and being in part of this valley.
Now, we saw some of Councilman Seroka's ward there, the Wallapai Trail, and actually the one off of Rampart in Vegas also in his ward. Those trails all connect, though. Those 1,000 miles of trails you mentioned, they're pretty much interconnected across the city, aren't they?
Many of them do. Many of them connect with each other. In the Summerlin area, in Councilman Seroka's area of Ward 2, they've done a really great job of collaborating both with the city planners and with the Summerlin planners to make sure that the trails connect and that there's a good system. And we're improving that all the time. That's something that I think is really amazing, that the planners within the different cities are always looking to how we can improve that connectivity for both paved trails, for natural trails. So whether you're out there, you're a road biker or a runner who likes to be on paved trails, or if you're a mountain biker and you want to get off and have a more natural experience, we just have an incredible variety of things here, which is, it's an amazing asset.
I know Councilman Seroka is going to ask next, how do you find these trails, Mauricia? How do you get the guide to knowing where these all are?
How do we find these trails?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that question. There's actually a great app that was collaborated with the jurisdictions and the Southern Nevada Health District. It's called Neon to Nature. You can download it on your iPhone or your Droid, whatever system you're using, and that can find whatever trail is closest to you. And then also come find us in my organization at events, and we're always giving out free maps because there are so many trails, and it's nice to see them on an online app. It's also fun to see it on maps sometimes. You can reach out to us at outsidelasvegas.org.
And we keep maps in our satellite office of all your trails that you provided us at the Veterans Memorial Leisure Center out in Ward 2.
A good point. Stop in out there. Right.
Please stop in, and at the community center they'll hook you up. And as well, I know many people move to Ward 2 because of their access to the outdoors and the open spaces. Do you find that that helps our quality of life overall?
That's an excellent point, Councilman. I think outdoors are one of the key things that are a factor for quality of life, because you can get outside with your family. It's free, among other things. The trails, you literally just need a pair of shoes and you can go for a walk with your family. It's actually been shown that homes that are near trails and parks actually hold their value higher than homes that aren't near trails and parks,
so
among other things. It's really important, and our outdoor economy in Nevada is actually huge. It's $12.6 billion is what the Outdoor Industry Association has estimated is generated by the outdoor economy. So it's great for our economy, but it's also great for our families. I mean, there's no better way to be with your family. I know my husband and daughter and I go outside on our bikes, and it's wonderful to just be on the trails together, to take the dogs for a walk. You get to see your neighbors. You really feel connected. It's part of really a place-making experience when you're out there.
For sure.
You say hi to your
So you
neighbors.
get on the bike. I always take the dog on the trails with my wife. And now, what about you, Councilman? You're an F-15 pilot.
I fly down.
You fly down the trails, you
I
know.
get to enjoy the view. One of the things that was really impressive to me that I didn't know was when Mauricia was presenting, the network of trails is going to be expanded to encircle all of Las Vegas. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, the goal of putting the trail to completing it all around the perimeter of the Las Vegas Valley.
I would love to. It's something that the jurisdictions have been planning for a while. It's called the Vegas Valley Rim Trail. So it's a trail that will one day completely encircle the valley so that everything is fully connected. So you could pop out, do a part of the Vegas Valley Rim Trail, come back into your community.
How many miles will that be around, Mauricia, all told?
Over 100 miles.
Wow.
We've actually done incredibly well on it already. You can already go a 35-mile trail on the Las Vegas Wash Trail that can take you over to Wetlands Park, where you can go for about 7 miles. There's the River Mountains Loop Trail, the McCullough Hills Trail. On the west side of town, there's the 215. Already we have quite a bit going on of that Vegas Valley Rim Trail, but we're working to fill that out. It's a long-term project, but I think when we complete it, it'll be one of the jewels.
Great question, Councilman. You know, Mauricia, I want to make sure that we also mention Outside Las Vegas has been a huge partner with the city on the Healing Garden. Healing Garden was built after the October 1st shooting. completely by volunteers. The city donated the land, volunteers did everything else. Then the question was, well, how do we maintain it and how do we fund it? Because the city had not really planned to fund this. So up steps your organization to really partner and guide us through this. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we were really honored to be brought into this process. The community members that put together this project were just an amazing group of people. They're just the regular folks who came together and put this amazing energy. We're in 3 days, 500 volunteers put together donated materials and essentially repurposed a lot that the city of Las Vegas owned, that the city made available for this project. So it's something, though, that the city hadn't planned for, because nobody planned for the horrible things that happened or for this gift in response to the horrible things that happened on October 1st. So now that this garden is here, we want to make sure that it remains in great condition and is something that really is going to enrich the community for years to come. It is a memorial to the events that took place, but it's also a place where people can come and reflect and hopefully heal, because it is a healing garden. So our role is to support the community members that brought this together. Because these are just regular folks. They're landscapers. They're people who are just, they roll up their sleeves and they go to work every day to plant things. But they're not used to doing things like running a plaza, a garden project for the city.
Yeah.
And this
So
is
we're
important,
helping.
David. From my military experience, we know that the challenges actually grow over time for the people that were involved in something like this. So having a well-maintained and an available healing garden into the future is very important to the healing of our community in the years to come. So thank you so much for partnering with us and taking that on.
Mauricio, how many folks are in your organization? Tell us about outside Las Vegas. How many people are part of your team and part of the overall foundation?
We have, it's actually kind of pinched myself because when we started it was just me. We actually now have a staff of 12 people. We have been able to grow through partnerships. We have an education program where we focus on low-income, at-risk youth and getting them outside, because the outdoors represent outdoor classrooms. So we write grants and then we distribute the grants through micro grants to schools. We actually were able to get about 5,500 kids outside last year to those outdoor classroom experiences. Our volunteer engagement program has grown, although it's actually amazing. We have 1 full-time person and 3 part-time people who last year managed to do 79 events in 1 year.
Wow.
And I'm not entirely sure how they did it, but they did it, and they do an incredible job. And I think it's also a testament to how much our people in our community care, because they wanted to do 79 events. And then, so I've been so fortunate to be able to be part of the organization. We've got great team members. And then we have 16 volunteer board members. And can't forget, because we cannot do what we do without our volunteer board members.
We're glad for all of you, Mauricio. We really are. We're just about out of time here. But listen, we want to thank you so much for being on the show. Best of luck to you. And thank you for all you're doing for the city. I know Councilman Seroka and the rest of us really appreciate it.
Yeah,
so
thank you so much.
you.
So we want to tell everybody real quickly, we always want to hear from you. So if you have something you'd like to share with Councilman Seroka, you can always find him on Facebook. He's very active. And if you leave a comment, hey, we could use your post on an upcoming show. So we'd love to hear from you. You can also contact the councilman the old-fashioned way. Pick up the phone, 702-229-6405, or send him an email. His address is sseroka@lasvegasnevada.gov. Great job, Councilman. We'll see you back in 6 weeks. And Mauricio, good luck to you.
Thank you.
I'll have you back in the future. Maybe give us another update on how everything's going with the healing garden and all that, too. So,
Thank you so much. Pleasure. Thank you for having me
good
on.
to see you again.
Thank you, David.
Great job, Councilman. And we want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Access City Council. Don't forget, you can watch us live on the internet at kclv.tv. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time around.